All right. What's popping, y'all? Happy Wednesday. Your girl Star Shima here, the iconic woman coach. What is popping? So, I am just doing my checks and balance here and just making sure we are all good. We are live on my Facebook page and we are live on YouTube. I am just checking to make sure. There we go. We are up and we are live. Because one thing when y'all are going live and y'all using a streaming service, make sure you do check to make sure that when you go and you're streaming over that it does not show private, because that way your audience will not be able to see it, right? And we want to make sure we are. So that's a little bit of behind the scenes pep talk here on the Wealthy Wednesday gossip. What's popping, girlfriend? So if you're on my email list, you know that we get Wealthy Women Gossip. I mean, Wealthy Wednesday. Oh, I should have Wealthy Women Gossip, huh? Instead of Wealthy Wednesday Gossip. But on Wednesdays, I talk about things about wealth, because when becoming an iconic woman and going after your dreams is so many different layers to this thing, right? And most people don't unpack that for you, because a lot of times what you see on social media and where you're seeing people are trying to sell you a thing, they're trying to sell you a strategy. But really, what we miss out is the levels that it really takes, right? To really grow and to become iconic and to have the freedoms that we truly, truly want, because it's not about starting a business today, going after our dreams today, and having it tomorrow. We can't handle it all. So we go through these different levels that help us build. And so that's what I've been doing, is building and evolving. And as I'm building and evolving and growing, I'm taking you along that journey with me, because I think it's really, really important. I remember having a conversation with a really prominent coach in the game, and I was like, I think I can work hard and I think that I can earn money, right? Like some of you all, type one in the chat box if you really feel like you can work hard and you can earn money, right? You can work hard and you can earn money. But then sometimes you're like, well, what the heck is happening to my money? Like, I'm making money in my business, but I'm still living poor. Like, I'm still impoverished. And this ain't no shade, y'all. This is where we have transparent, real conversations about helping us grow. So when I sat with her, I really was like, I can make some money. I can get out and do some things, right? But I need to know, what do I do with the money that I earn, right? Like, that was a big thing for me. And so when I was thinking about what did I want to talk to you wealthy women about, you iconic women about today on Wealthy Wednesday gossip, is I began to think about what was my own story and what was my own journey. And I decided to open up and to be a little bit transparent with y'all on this journey and some things that I've implemented to help me change the game. So just let me know if y'all here, say, hey girl, hey, share this out to your good girlfriend, share this out to your community. Perhaps this is something that the women or men that you serve, this is something that they need to know about. Let's talk about real things that's going to propel us forward and get us to that level of being icons. I was just listening to Pastor Bradley on TD Jake's Bible study before I got on live here, and she talked about devoting yourself to grow yourself. Like, you got to devote yourself to some things to be able to grow yourself. And I'm going to have this transparent conversation with you all today. So today I'm going to share with you a personal financial journey. Like, I'm going to share with you, I'm going to be a little bit open. I'm going to be a little bit transparent about some of the action steps that I took to build a budget that really transformed my life, right? So tonight, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you dive into some key things. So if you're a woman and you're like, Starshima, where do I start? Like, if these are the things you did, let me just try it. Because here's the thing. Why not try something new? You can always go back to what you've always been doing. But you'll never know what the next thing will give you if you never decided to put it into place, if you talk yourself out of it. And one thing about it, my quote this morning that I sent out in the text is like, in the message is, some of y'all think that to be wealthy, we got to be wealthy first. Like, I got to come into a ton of money. I got to come into the ton of money. I got to get the luxury car and a luxury house. And then I start building wealth. But I challenge that, because that isn't the mindset. You have to start doing wealthy minded things today to get you to be wealthy, if that makes sense, right? It's not the opposite way around, right? I know it looks like it, that some people was born with a silver spoon in their mouth. They got a huge inheritance. And because of that, this is why they're able to do that. Take that out of your mind. Take that out of your thinking, because that really isn't it. If you look at majority of people who are wealthy, these people didn't even earn six figures within their corporate jobs. So Starshima, what they do, right? Like, ask you, what did they do? They were wise with what they did. And the first thing about taking charge of your finances is budgeting. Now, let me just be a little bit real with y'all. I'm going to talk about the 4 categories that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about savings. We're going to talk about investing. We're going to talk about our fixed expenses, and we're going to talk about our flexible expenses. So grab a pen and paper. Like, let's just get real. If you want some transformation, devote yourself to grow yourself, as Pastor Bradley said tonight, and get cozy and let's get started, right? So let's talk about it. So let me tell you a little bit. Let me journey y'all back a little bit about Starshima, okay? So a little bit about me. I grew up poor. Probably, what that look like? Grew up on welfare, all the things, nothing charged against my family or anything like that. We were just living how we were living, right? My mom did an amazing job with raising us, and she did an amazing job with what she had, but things were tight. Money was tight, right? Meaning that, hey, sometimes I didn't get new school clothes when it came to the new school year. I had to get creative and go buy red dye and dye my black overalls back black because they were ashy. Like, that was the life, and again, she did an amazing job with loving us, but that's really what it was like. So I always had something in me, and I always said that I wanted to be different. Right. I didn't want the things that I seen. I didn't want my children to have the things that I seen. And I dreamed bigger than the circumstance that I was in. Type 1 in the chat box if you've dreamed bigger than the circumstance that you was in or how you grew up. Right. And so with that, I was always like, I'm going to school. I'm going to get an education. Like, I'm going to chase the American dream. These are the things they said that we should do. Like, I'm going to do it because I want what I seen my friends have, my friends who didn't accept me because I didn't have what they have. Y'all didn't hear me though, right? Maybe y'all don't understand. But as kids, we're cruel. And if kids didn't feel like you lived a certain life that they live, you didn't fit into their circle. I couldn't afford to go to the skating rink because my mama didn't have no money to send me to the skating rink. Okay. Or I couldn't go to prom, or I couldn't do these things because I wasn't able to. Thank you for weighing in. I see Nicole here, and I got another Facebook user weighing in the chat box. Thank you so much. So that was kind of what it was like for me. So I was like, okay, so when I get an opportunity and I get the education and I do the things that I want to do, right? Like, I'm gonna enjoy my money, right? Anybody ever feel like they're gonna enjoy their money? So I went to school after working. I've done all the in between. I started working at the age of 14, learning how to make money. Right. But in that, I really didn't know how to manage money, because what I seen in the household was when my mom got it, she had to pay it out, right? Whether it was bills, she was a single parent. So money came and money went. I didn't even understand the idea of what it was like to save money. Can I be honest with y'all? So these behaviors, because I didn't see it, it really came over to my adult life. And when it came into the adult life, when I was independent and I was making money for myself, I didn't want to live with no budget. I didn't want to live with restraints because I had lived in restraints for so long. Type 5 if y'all with me. Like, I had lived in those financial restraints for so long. So although I got to a point where I got a career and I was making good money, I wasn't doing the right things with the money. Like, I was making money, and literally, as I said in the email today, like, it was like going through your hands like sand. Right? Like, the money was coming, but the money was leaving. Perhaps you never did your tax return at the end of the year and they took all your deductions out and your AGI was still like, and you're like, well, where's the money? My savings account don't look like this. I clearly don't have an emergency fund. So where the heck is my money that I earned all throughout the year, even after my deductions, right? Still had a nice little hefty little piece there, and I didn't know where it was. And so for years I lived like that. And I felt like it came a point where I feel like it was God kind of waking me up, like, Starshima, like, your finances. And because it was something that I felt like I now had control of, or I can now make money and I can live without restraints, that it was a hard decision for me to make, to try to take hold of it, right? To try to take control of it. And literally, yes, I was making money, but as fast as I was making the good money was leaving. I didn't have the things. Yes, I lived a better life than what I was living. I had better things, right? I had a better quality of life. I ate at better restaurants, but I didn't have things, right? Like, I didn't have them. All right, y'all weighing in the chat. I appreciate this. So when I think about this conversation, I was like, I wonder if it's another woman, and if it's only one under the sound of my voice today, that my story blesses you. Because the thing that I've been reluctant to do is the very thing that has changed my life, right? And although I'm a work in progress and I'm not at the optimum, I'm not here to tell you that I am the very best at everything. I don't go outside boundaries. I'm human, right? But I can definitely tell you by putting this thing that I was definitely afraid to do and what I felt like was putting me back into that restraint of poverty, right? That I didn't want to do it. But not even understanding that I was having an impoverished mindset despite the amount of money that I had coming in. Most people don't get that because they think that, oh, you're wealthy. It's really a mindset thing. Okay. Like I talked about, it's not the fancy cars, it's not the luxury house. All those things come in time. I want them all too, because y'all, I'm getting that beach house. I was just telling my students today, like I'm working hard right now because mama's going to buy that house on the beach. That's going to be my vacation home. But I have to do these things to be able to get the beach house. And if I continue to do the things that I was doing, where money was just leaving like sand and I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do, and I didn't have control over my finances or giving my money roles, I was just essentially still impoverished. I just had more money in poverty. I don't think y'all picked that up. I just had more money, but I was in poverty because I wasn't doing the right things. So, to be honest with y'all, I decided to do a budget. Now, if y'all know me, I'm like, oh, I got to get the right kind of piece of paper. Let me go find the right kind of budgeting. Let me go look at all these things. And just to say that we have always written down our bills and what our incomes and what our expenses were. What we have failed to do is with the extra, what do we do with it? Type 7 in the chat box if you decided that you know what to do with the extra. Or do you have a budget, right? Do you have one? Type 7 and let me know if you have a budget. And if you don't type 7, you're a great woman for this conversation today, because I'm gonna give you something practical. So the first things first is, just like with anything in life, I had to figure out what was the goal. Like, why did I go get this education? Why did I get this degree? Why am I picking up extra shifts? Why am I coaching clients? Like, why am I getting this money? Like, if I was just really spending and it was going through my hands, like, what was the reason? So I had to begin to set goals, just like I set goals in my business. As I set goals in my personal life, I needed to set goals for my money. Like, what is the reason for this money coming in? Yeah, I know I got to keep the lights on, got to keep the daycare paid for the kids, right? But what is the real goal for my money? Like, what is it that I really want my money to do for me, right? So thinking about that is determining the first step into building wealth right now with where you are with what you have is determining your financial goals. And ask yourself, what do you want to achieve financially? Most people don't have these goals, guys. Like women, iconic women, we don't have these goals. And that's why we can see ourselves making all the money, but the money isn't doing what the money ain't working for us, right? Okay. So what are your financial goals? Are you saving to buy a new house? Are you saving to take your first family vacation? Are you saving to start a new business that have a huge overhead in it? Right? Or are you saving your financial goal is to make sure I retire well? That's a big thing that's looming now, because we got to make sure we're not outliving the money that we have. Like, look at inflation. Like, money used to be like right here, y'all. Like, inflation is here. And so what we needed 10 years ago to retire, times that by 10 right now to be able to retire comfortably. So thinking about what is the goal for your money. And I had to think about that. Like, well, what do I want to do? Do I want a new house? Do I want this? Okay. So looking at that. So when you are able to get clear about your goals, then it helps you get much more strategic about your budget, right? And for me, when it came to savings and my impoverished mindset, when I thought about saving, is savings your first thing that you do, or is saving your last thing that you do? I'll wait for that. Nicole says, love that you set goals for the money and what you want it to do for you. Absolutely, Nicole, because if not, we're just getting up and going to work, or we're hiring, we're getting the clients, we're closing the clients, we're getting the money in, but we ain't got no goals for our money, right? So thinking about that. So being clear, when it came to me with savings was always that last thing. I'm gonna be honest. If I got it, then I'll put it away. And if I ain't got it, Amazon Prime is around here. So if Amazon Prime was priming like it needed to prime, then who cares about a savings, right? But savings should be one of the first thing that we allocate, right? When we think about our money. And when I think about savings, it's completely what's comfortable for you and your budget right now, but you definitely should be saving something. And you can save 20% of your income, 15% of your income, 10% of your income. I think you just need to allocate what percentage of your income do you want to put away, and you put that away with no questions asked, just as if you were paying your car insurance, right? Or your life insurance or anything like that. Okay, so the first category you want to focus on is your savings account and be intentional about it. One thing, I have different savings accounts because they have different roles. So maybe you put a savings, like you get a savings account that you have no bank card to, right? So you don't have access to the money, but you can see it on your app and you can put that money there. Like, this is my pure savings account, and you're able to watch it grow. Perhaps different types of savings. Maybe somebody's starting their emergency fund where you're having 3 to 6 months of your expenses tucked away, right, in an emergency fund. Maybe that's what you're building and that's what you want to grow. And I would separate it from your normal savings account, like one that isn't linked to your checking account as an overdraft or anything like that. I would think about something like that. So a safe number, 15%. Of your income that you bring home will be something that you would put away. And as you get more comfortable with this, and even if you started today with 10%, heck, if you started with 5, sis, you're making great progress. Like, don't feel, it's just the act of doing. Devote yourself to grow yourself, to start building this wealth for yourself and taking control of your finances by knowing and giving your money roles and knowing what your money should do. Okay. So putting that away, gradually increase it over a period of time and aim for 20% as your goal over a period of time. Different types of savings accounts that you can have: an emergency fund, you can have a vacation fund, you can have a home fund, you can have a retirement fund, right? And if you don't have a retirement fund, or if you have a retirement fund and it's not looking like it's going to retire you like you need to, and you're young and healthy and prime at your age, we should have a conversation, because I can help get you into a product that can help you retire, that your money would grow a lot faster than what it is growing right now in a normal 401k or a 403b, and we can unpack that. All right. So let's move on to the next step, is investing, right? Thinking about investing. Again, savings and investing, that wasn't part of it. I'm like, I'm ready to pay my rent and pay my PG&E, and whatever I got left, sis was spending on whatever she want, right? But investing is so important. And I think that 10% of your income should go to investing at minimum, 10 to 15%, depending upon what your goals are for and what you're investing in. So allocating a portion of your income to investments is a powerful wealth building strategy, right? You're investing in your future. Wealth building is a marathon. Okay. It is not an overnight thing, but it is the accumulation and the compound interest and effort over a period of time, that when you wake up in the next 20 years, you're going to be so grateful that you put up $200 every 2 weeks, right? Because now you have X, Y, and Z, and you will not outlive your money. Right? That's what investing looks like. Your kids is set up a little bit different, right? Your family structure is set up a little bit different. The trust is trusting, right? For you and your family. So making sure you have those set up. We're looking at that. So 10%, 10 to 15% of your monthly income, looking at ways to invest. Some examples of investments that you can do depending upon who you are. People invest in the stock market. I think people should have a diversity of a portfolio of investing, looking at things that are in things like a variable market, which means when the stock market goes, they go too. And then things that are in a much more type of fixed type of way, or things that where you're not going to lose your money in the event that something crashes or goes down. Okay. So I think you should definitely have a diversified portfolio in your investing. And if you need something like that, if you're in a variable market now with like a 403b, investing aggressively for your retirement, but you want to look at something that can be more secure, that when the market crashes, you don't lose all your money, because heck, you can be at 60, then the market crashes and you've lost everything that you've accumulated. We don't want that to happen. So diversifying your portfolio into things that are non-variable will be very, very beneficial to you. Okay. Looking at things like mutual funds are great ways to diversify your portfolio, and they really are there for long term growth. Just to give you some context and some examples, some of you all like to real estate invest. One of my good friends, Miss Margie, if you don't follow her, the flipping queen, she's doing something amazing right now. She's helping women flip homes with real estate investing. She's a queen at it. She's doing amazing. She is actually hitting some big milestones this year. So definitely want to follow her if you guys are not following her. But an example of someone with real estate investing. Okay. And then action step number 4 is when it comes to down the things that we probably can't get away from. And those are things like our fixed expenses. And your fixed expenses are things like your mortgage, your utilities, right? These things that you have to pay every single month. And even looking at that when it comes to budgeting your income is making sure you stick within like living off of about for your fixed expenses about 50% of your income. That was really tough for me. Well, I think the big thing for me is what I didn't understand is I would lump everything together. I didn't understand fixed and flexible and investing and saving. So everything just looked like this is all my money and this is where it's going. But when I think about now that I have a percentage of where my money is going for these different things, it helps me be better. It helps me be in better control of my finances, and then putting the things where I need to be. Just set you up for a better financial future and wealth. Okay, so looking at 50% of your expenses. And then the next step, action step number 5 in your budget is looking at your flexible spendings. And your flexible spendings can be something like 25% of your budget. That may be things like your entertainment. Here's another thing. I'm going to be transparent with y'all. If I want to go to the movies, I want to go to the movies. I didn't want to have to look in an envelope and figure out what was my budget for entertainment. If I wanted to spend $400 out at a night, kicking it or whatever it was, going to the bars, buying rounds of drinks, going to dinner, I wanted to do it. But now that I'm living myself on a stricter budget, I'm like, oh, I ain't got the money for that. And I don't feel guilty around it anymore. I felt like when I would say like, oh, I ain't got the money for that, it would like make me cringe in the inside. Like, oh, I ain't got the money for that. But now I say it really empowered because I got goals, right? Like I got goals. It doesn't mean that I don't have access to it if I wanted it, right? It just means that I am living in discipline. And I've set this allocation and I'm not going to not spend it, right? That is discipline. And to be an iconic woman and to be wealthy requires you to have an immense amount of discipline, right? So, but you can allocate things for like retirement. Not retirement, entertainment, for things like travel and personal development. I stay with a coach, so I'm always having somewhere in the budget. Well, how much can I invest in this course, or how can I hire my next coach, or whatever that looks like? Because I know for me to be able to get to my next level, to reach the optimal and self-actualization, there's things that I have to invest in myself about, and I have to make sure I have budgets for that to be able to do it. Okay. So looking at that. So these are the things that really makes a budget for you. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. It doesn't need to go sit down with a CPA and figure out a budget. You can do this today. If you're anything like me, who was making money but still impoverished in your mind, your mindset was poverty, your actions are poverty, and you're looking around like, where the heck is my money going? I can tell you that this one simple actionable step that took me maybe 2 hours sitting here in my office, getting really clear about it, because I was so determined that my next year would not look like the current year. I wouldn't have this amount of money and nowhere to show for it, right? So I made sure I sat down with these things, and having a mindset, switching from a poverty mindset that kept me making broke decisions, right? Despite how much money I made, to a wealthy mindset that made me be more disciplined, right? Say no when it's no, right? To be able to grow the wealth that I need and that I truly desire for what my goals are. My children will be trust fund babies, right? And I want them to have more than what I ever had. And I know that it takes me to change the decisions and the things that I'm doing today to impact them tomorrow, right? And so it's been so transformational for me. It's been so eye-opening. And just let me give y'all a little bit of texture about how real this thing is. I love Walmart. So today I got off work and I went and I needed some magnesium because I was out of mag. So I went and got some magnesium from Walmart, and I was like, oh, I called the kids. Hey, what do y'all want from the store? And generally, y'all walk into Walmart and I can easily spend, well, with inflation now, over $100 on things that I didn't need. But now, as you practice this and lean into it, it's get better over the years, right? It gets better over discipline because I have to shift my behaviors, right? It was really eye-opening. I walked in the store, I was like, let me get this magnesium. Let me get the kids the snacks that they asked for. And that was it. I walked out of Walmart today paying $33. Like, real talk. But that's discipline because I was like, I don't need anything else, to where it just becomes so second nature to me. But when I first started leaning into this process, it felt uneasy. It felt hard, right? It felt like I was depriving myself of something. But now I'm like, oh, it's just what it is. And one of my really, really good friends, I really, really admire her for this. And she probably don't know the value that she's instilled in me over the years, just watching her be so disciplined. When you're talking about giving your money roles, right? Instead of her working for her money, she allows her money to work for her and she gives herself roles. And I think that is really amazing to see how she gives her money roles and she's together, right? Meeting, dotting her A's, crossing her T's, got her things where she needs to be, meeting her goals, really inspired me to be a better woman. And on this journey of becoming iconic, I'm learning that it's really less about money generation if you don't have the discipline on the backside of it. Because as fast as you make it is the fastest it leaves. Like literally, if you go to the beach and you pick up the sand and the sand go through your fingers, that is essentially how money will do if you don't find some way to lock it, to give it its roles, to let it begin to work for you, is when you're going to see the greatest benefit. I couldn't tell you this 6 years ago because I wasn't ready. I didn't know. But because I've journeyed a while, I've learned a lot, I've sat in rooms, I've implemented, I put things in places why I can have these conversations with you today. And I tell you, iconic woman, wealth is not about getting a huge inheritance one day. The wealth is not for just a select few. The wealth is for you too. And to be being an iconic woman is to be wealthy. And being an iconic woman is to be disciplined, right? And taking control of her finances and to make sure she's secure. And I was like, oh, right. These are things that you begin to look at and you begin to put into place and you begin to put into action, right? So we got to, just like Pastor Bradley said today, is devout yourself to grow yourself. And ignorance is the biggest dream killer. Like, you guys, I was ignorant. I didn't know. I didn't know about money. And sometimes I make people uncomfortable now because of what I didn't know about money. I've spent the immense amount of time learning about money. And I talk about money a lot, not because the love that I have for money, but it's something that is intriguing to me to understand how to earn it and how to save it and how to build wealth and to put it in these different areas and things of how do I protect my income in the event that I can't work anymore, in the event that it's not enough money in the bank account for me to live off of for the next 20 years, right? Like making sure my income is protected. Like, is your income protected? Like, if you could not work today, your business stopped, say for instance, you got some kind of illness, where's your money coming from? Like, what if your family is dependent on you, your children, your spouse? Like, what happens if you cannot work today? Can't do the business, you can't do none of that. Are you protected? And if you're not protected, iconic woman, send me a DM. Like, get off the live and send me a DM and let's have a conversation about how to get you protected. Let me show you what we've got that we can help you make sure you're protected in the event that you can't work anymore. So those are the things I wanted to share with you. They're practical, they're actionable. You don't need no fancy, you don't go buy nothing. Pull out a notebook. I know you got notebooks everywhere because if you're an iconic woman, you're like me. We got about 50, 11 of them somewhere, like on my desk right now. They everywhere, girl. Look at right here. Dream, right? Oh, you can't see it because it's got that thing in there. Like so many different things, right? Reading books, The Rich and the Righteous right here. I got the study guide. Like, it's just so much, right? But devote yourself to grow yourself and to be a woman of extreme discipline and to change the game. What's up, Miss Maureen? And Nicole said discipline and consistency is the key. Set goals for your money, y'all. Don't get up another day and run your business and not know why you're earning this money. And when you get this money, what are you going to do with it? Invest, right? Are you investing? Are you tithing? Are you doing the things that you need to do? Okay. So that's the information that I wanted to share with you. And I hope that it was beneficial to you. And it was definitely something that is actionable to you. My approach is always education driven because that's what I am as an educator. That's the way I disrupt space, is by educating iconic women like you to change your narratives, to change your stories, to change your structures on this journey of becoming iconic, right? So thank you for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. I hope you found that this live stream, that it had valuable information and it inspired you to take action really towards building your budget. That's the first steps. Okay. Know your budget. If you have any questions or need further guidance, feel free to leave a comment or reach out to me privately within my DMs. This live stream will drop off of Facebook, but it will be up on my YouTube. And in closing, I want you to remember, true wealth starts with determination. It's hard, y'all. It's difficult. If you feel like you're depriving yourself in a moment, but over a period of time, it's going to feel better. Okay. So real wealth begins with determination as well as your action. Together, we can create the life that we desire, right? Until next time, I want you to stay motivated. I want you to keep building your financial empire. And I'll see you back here on Wednesday for Wealthy Wednesday Gossip. Take care, girlfriend.